This is episode 1 of Costa Casual YouTube. Today is a crazy day, folks. Mr. Kyle Hahn and me are heading about 3 hours north of where we are in Santa Teresa, Costa Rica, to Tamarindo.
Yep,
Tamarindo. And we are going to meet a legendary music producer, Mr. Jeff Bass. A crazy story about how this all happened. In Michigan, we have this studio I've worked at for the last 9 years called Plymouth Rock Recording Company. Shout out to the boys. Our buddy Tony Campana he basically wired up a lot of things at our studio, and he also built our patch panels in which you plug microphones in the live rooms. So as we were building the studio down here in Costa Rica, I hit up Tony to get some patch panels made, and he says, Costa Rica? Well, Jeff Bass was gonna build a studio in Costa Rica, but he's not anymore. And he's got all of his gear down there in crates. I know because I ordered it all. So we're talking a ton of high-end studio gear sitting in crates down in Costa Rica already, which let me just be the first to say that was something that I was really worried about, was getting gear down here, shipping gear down here, like, there's import taxes, all sorts of things to consider. And here we are with a whole studio's worth of gear just sitting in crates ready for us to pick up, essentially. So, basically we kind of responded back to Tony. We said, man, that's like quite a bit more money than we were originally planning on spending, for starters with this studio. A lot of money has gone into construction, and Kyle has spent a lot of money over the years just developing the property. So we weren't really sure if we were going to be able to pull off this deal, but thankfully, Tony works a little bit of magic, and we came to an agreement. We are driving 3 hours north to go meet Jeff Bass. Kyle, anything you want to say about that?
No, just really, it was a good sign that we were in the right place at the right time with Nick's connection with Tony and Tony's connection with Jeff Bass. It was kind of just an incredible sign that we're going for it, and we're having signs that we have people in our corner and we have good connections all over, and it's happening.
That's it, folks. You truthfully never know what can happen. So don't be afraid to say what's on your mind. That's how this whole thing started. All right, we'll show you some more updates as the day goes on, and we'll show you some clips of the beautiful Costa Rican countryside. All right, so as we're driving, I figured we got 3 hours, time to brush up on my Spanish with Kyle. And also maybe just talk to you guys about the gear that we are going to check out. The whole idea for this studio, at least in my mind, and I think Kyle's mind too, for starters, was like, we got good high-end gear, right? Nice computer, nice interface, like synthesizers, fun things to make noise with, and also like songwriters paradise. We'll put some pictures on screen of where we're at right now with the studio. It's so inspiring how it sits right at tree level. The deck is just massive. I think building it out on those stilts just gives it a whole epic feeling for any musician kind of walking up or coming up the drive when you see that. And then when you're sitting on top of the deck, it truly is it's very inspiring. So with that whole original idea being said, the gear that we're going to pick up right now, or we're going to check out, was definitely not what we had kind of originally anticipated. Right now, we're going to see all the gear that's in the storage unit, and essentially what it is, it's a 32-channel analog console, SSL 32-channel Origin. It's a badass board. Consoles are becoming more of a dying breed in studios. Where I work at Plymouth Rock back in Michigan, we have 2 studios. Upstairs does have a Neve 32-channel console, but downstairs, the newer studio does not have a console. It just has a bunch of outboard gear, different preamps, compressors, stuff like that. And that's kind of the way that you're seeing studios being built now. So there's something magical about a console at a studio, and especially with an engineer that truly knows how to make the most out of the console. We kind of live in this era of laptop warriors. I'm totally guilty of it. I will go and make a song on the airplane, whatever, and it's so cool that we're able to do this. You produce these digital sounds. There's all these crazy sound libraries available to us as producers now. Some of these sample libraries were recorded with analog gear and what have you, but I often find this magic being missed in the overall sound of like a lot of like pop music today and electronic music. And truly, like, my favorite electronic music producers, they may not have a console, but they're taking samples and running it through analog gear, because there's just this grit, there's this coloration that analog gives you. And although replications, via plugins, the digital aspect of things have gotten much, much better, there's just truly some sort of magic to it. I'm excited to dive more in as an engineer to kind of really integrate using a console in my workflow as both a producer and a mixing engineer. And I'm excited for the level of people that I think that we are going to attract to want to come to our studio, both musicians and audio engineers. There's just going to be some serious players that are going to want to come and stop in and like give a retreat, do a music lesson, just come and record at our place. I'm really glad that we made the control room bigger than maybe you would normally typically make the control room for that size space that we were working with, but now that we have the console, it definitely made sense. Not to mention, we're getting 8 Neve 1073 preamps as a part of this whole invoice and order. If you know anything about audio gear, you've definitely heard of Neve, and you've definitely heard of a 1073. In fact, that when I'm using universal audio plugins or my universal interface, the Apollo, I almost always will track through the Neve 1073 plugin version, and it sounds amazing. So to actually have our hands on 8 real Neve pre's just blows my mind. The monitors, ATCs, like crazy studio monitors. I'm really excited to hear those. We have an Apogee 32, MK2 32 IO interface. That should be really great. Apogee makes great products. We bought us a new computer for the studio. We already have stocked it with Pro Tools, Ableton, Logic, and I already have thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars worth of plugins on there. So if you're coming to use our studio as an outside engineer, I think you'll be happy with the collection of stuff that we have. We'll also have a very easy setup for music producers just bringing their laptop, being able to like plug into our system and just kind of use the system without having to go through our computer. Kyle said I should talk about the mic collection. The first wave of mics, and I think it's a pretty sick wave. I want to shout out to my boys Toby and Haruki from Plymouth Rock, because 3 of us sat down and really kind of went over this initial phase 1 of microphones for the studio down at Costa. It's kind of like a good overall start to the studio. I think you could get crazy as hell with microphones. I mean, one microphone, let's just say an AEA 440, big ribbon mic. It's kind of like got that old vintagey look to it. That mic cost used $4,000 or $5,000. So you can really spend a lot of money on microphones, and I think we did kind of a good job at spending a lot of money still, but getting the most kind of bang for our buck for what a studio like ours should have. So with that being said, let's start with the Neumanns. Basically any professional studio you walk into, you're going to see some Neumanns. So I'm proud to say we have our own Neumann 87. I've always wanted to own one myself. We've always had a pair at the studio in Plymouth. So we have an 87. Brought my TLM 67, which is actually like my favorite vocal mic on my voice. I kind of have a bluesy, raspy voice, and the TLM 67 kind of lets that top end shine while preserving like the clarity. We have a matched pair of KM 184s, so those are small diaphragm condensers. Great for drum overheads, acoustic guitar, different percussion. Really clear microphones. They're almost too clear in my opinion. You're tracking acoustic, you gotta play pretty well, otherwise it really picks up like the just subtle nuances of just the sound of the strings and everything. We have one ribbon for starters right now, and that's definitely going to be the next thing that I want to bring down is more ribbon mics. I love ribbons on drum overheads, on guitars, on piano, like upright piano, percussion, definitely horns. But we do have an AEA N22, which is kind of a very interesting ribbon mic. Typically with ribbons, you can't really airflow through the microphone can really destroy the ribbon. And so ribbons are notoriously kind of fragile, but the N22 was designed to where it can really take airflow at a very small proximal distance to the microphone. So it's really good as like a close mic on trumpets or other wind instruments. I've even actually tracked vocals through it as just like kind of like a alternate to some like the large diaphragm condensers. AKG, let's talk about the C414. So we got a matched pair of 414s. Not cheap, but definitely worth it. Another studio workhorse. I feel like any studio you go to is gonna have a pair of 414s in my opinion. Any studio I've ever been to always had a pair. Obviously we have a bunch of Sures. We got a Beta 91, a 52, some 57s. Really stoked I haven't actually used these in person yet. Obviously I've used the SM7Bs throughout my career in different studios, whether it's like podcast mics or you use them on guitar amps, guitar cabs, lots of different things you can use those mics for. But we got the SM7 DBs, so it actually has the built-in cloud lifter, so the built-in preamp. I'm really excited to use those as like a podcast style out on the deck and just have different musicians out. Maybe we just kind of interview them to sit on that deck. Like, it's amazing with that backdrop. We got literally like the tops of the trees just like at that height. We went with the Bear Dynamic Drum Set Pro. So that's really like a full drum mic setup. The next drum mics that we'll want to get are the Sennheiser 421s. I think for our tom mics, that'll be really cool. The last piece of this whole puzzle is going to be instruments. And so thankfully we have a ton of great connections for instruments. There's actually a really cool shop in San Jose, Costa Rica called Retro Tone. Shout out to you guys. Great shop, a bunch of great guitars. I plan on bringing some guitars down, but I wasn't able to bring them on this trip. But we definitely want to buy some amazing instruments from some locals here. Shout out to my boy Scott Pelgrim. He's an amazing drummer. He's endorsed by really the world's best drum companies. So he's going to hook it up. He's talking to his companies right now to get us some really amazing drum gear and percussion instruments. All right, stay tuned, guys. We'll show you when we kind of meet with Jeff Bass, and we'll show you the storage unit. You want to say something about Hickorell?
I don't really know anything.
Well, never mind. Well, all we know is we are in Hickorell, but we don't have any fun facts for you on that.
He's got this.
Wait, so Kyle does know something about Hickorell. There's a nice soda. Tell him about the soda.
Yeah, there's a nice soda. I think it's called Picadero. It got some good meats. It's a buffet style. Tons of different meats. Carne and salsa, chuletas, pollo and salsa, assortment of different meats. Really good.
Assortment of different meats, folks. All right, here comes the infamous Picadero.
Grill and barbecue.
Grill and barbecue.
Got a bunch
meats,
of
dude.
Furniture, all handmade wooden tables and wooden chairs. Beautiful.
So we're driving back home to Santa Teresa. Left Tamarindo about less than an hour ago, and the meeting with Jeff went swimmingly, I would say. He was a super cool dude. Checked out all the gear. All this gear is still in crates, like packaged up. In the storage unit, he had actually a little bit of a bonus. There was a couple amplifiers, one bass amp, and one actually pretty sick guitar amp. There's a Telecaster custom in there, so an electric guitar, and then a couple of like classic nylon style acoustic guitars that were actually really nice. So I think we're gonna get those as a part of the purchase. Really, all that's next is we're gonna get the windows and doors installed on the studio, and that should happen in about a week or 2 weeks. And then we're gonna drive our buddy's truck back 3 hours north, the same trip that we just took today, and get this gear. Anything else you want to say, Kyle?
Just really excited to meet Jeff, and super humble dude, and it's a great experience to meet him and see all that equipment sitting in the storage unit just waiting for us. Seemed like that was the bigger plan for the whole equipment. Had different ideas for usage, so and we're gonna use it up. Excited.
All right, what up, Kyle? What just happened?
we just pulled over on the side of the road to take a piss, which is a total normal thing to do here in Costa Rica. It's not weird. And as we're taking a piss, 2 baby cats just come right up to us meowing. 2 of them, one walking right up to Nick and one walking right up to me.
What? Studio cats? I think so. I'm sure you guys just want to see more of the kittens, so. What? Don't be going over there, Bubby. Wow, look at this one.